The warrior got 2 runes and 10 more talents, and those 10 more talents may be able to offset all the destruction Agren has casted upon us. Luckily, the prot warrior is the one that got the least amount of nerfs, so we may be able to crank something workable here. As you guys know, all the damage modifiers are gone, and at the same time, dual wield modifiers are gone. Dual wield tank is already dead. And Gladiator stance got a 30% threat reduction now, so Gladiator tanking is dead. But traditional prot remains the way to go. Traditional prot, I like this spec actually, despite what most people don't. Let's take a look at it. We're gonna take shield specialization because we need it for later. We are gonna take 3 points in extra armor. We're gonna take 2 points in blood rage. We're gonna take blood rage is for rage, of course. Last 10 is gonna be a defensive cooldown. Really convenient cooldown to have. We are gonna take 1 point in shield block, so we got 2 hits to block here. Never put any more points in this because this thing is useless. We're gonna take 5 points in Defiance. That is 15% extra threat. So that's gonna be the main thing that's gonna keep us afloat here. Because most of our threat comes from base values and not from damage. So a 15% threat modifier for prot is a big deal. And we're gonna take cheaper Thunder Armor right here because rage is gonna be a constraint in this phase by what I tested. We're gonna look at that. And we're gonna take 1 point in Concussion Blow. That's a stun. You don't use it for much, it's just for trash, but like you need it for later, so we gotta take it. We are gonna take 2 points in Shield Wall because Shield Wall is amazing. Of course, we're gonna do that. And we gotta spend 1 more point here. You can take it 1 more armor, you can take 1 more defense skill. You can even take Taunt. It's up to you. I don't know, I guess I would take 1 armor. There you go, 2 armor points. We got 5 out of 5 in toughness. And we're gonna take this right here, which is 10% more damage. 10% more damage with one-handed weapons. And Shield Slam. Shield Slam is gonna remain our main dump ability. As you guys know, with the new runes from phase 3, you can get free shield slams, and that's gonna be important because rage is very short supply right now with all the nerfs. Now, had all the nerfs not gone through, Impale would have been the way to go. Impale would have been amazing. But sadly, that's not the world we live in, so we're gonna have to take Fury here. And this is the problem with the whole defense skill that people wanna do. Of course, we're gonna take 5% free crit. We are also gonna take Improve Demoralizing Shout to reduce boss damage. That's a no-brainer, that's utility, that's good. We are gonna take Improve Battle Shout because there's a really cool thing, guys, about the changes of Battle Shout. If you take this talent, Battle Shout will become free. As you guys know, Battle Shout produces threat, so it may very well be now that if you're pulling a big pull, this could be your best AoE threat in the game, because it's free. You just do Cleave and Battle Shout, or Thunderclap and Battle Shout, or Shockwave, which is also a thing now. But Battle Shout is gonna be an amazing filler, even in single target. If you got no rage, you can do Battle Shout. That's still threat. And finally, we're gonna take right here Enrage. Enrage is still the same. You do 25% more damage when you get crit. That means we are not going to take any defense. Defense skill is worthless for us. Defense skill actively makes us weaker. You wanna get crit every so often because this is a lot of damage. I think you're gonna find it very hard for people to say that Impale is gonna be a better rune than 25% more damage. And like, again, if all the damage modifiers were already there, this might be the case because Deep Wound scales very well, but sadly that's not the case, so I don't think we're gonna see any arms for the second talent tier. Very well, for the head, we got the option of Shield Mastery or Vigilance. Personally, like now that rage is gonna be a constraint, we lost a lot of our damage. Shield Mastery lost a lot of its value because 10% multiplied by 1 is a lot less than 10% multiplied by 1.6, you know? So I think Vigilance is gonna be the way to go. You take 10% of their threat and it becomes yours, so you can at the same time shut down the threat of the most biggest pumper in your raid and use his threat, which could be bigger than you, is gonna be your threat now, so you're gonna get a lot better at it. I think Vigilance is the only good change we got in phase 3. Alright, so for the back, this is the new runes. We're gonna take Shockwave. Shockwave is an AoE stun, and that means we can just use some AoE threat here. If you take a look at the PTR test, it would seem that it has a 50% almost exact attack power scaling right here. I have 800 something attack power, and this is 420 damage. So that's gonna scale very well. The cooldown is a little long, but it is not something crazy. I think a Shockwave is gonna be great for starting pulls in AoE. It's gonna make you so much better at trash. For the chest, alright, let's take a look. Flagellation, they took the damage away. Flagellation is officially destroyed. Raging Blow absolutely sucks. You can be enraged by your talents. You can use Berserker Rage or Blood Rage to use it, but it is weaker than your Devastate, so there is no point. It's free. Is no rage cost, but it sucks. Personally, I am gonna be taking Flagellation because it makes it so you take rage as if you had no gear. I always thought it was stupid that if the more gear you get as a warrior in vanilla, the less rage you get because the less damage you take. That's stupid. Is this as good as all Flagellation? Hell no. Hell no, 25% damage anytime, are you stupid? But it is still the best one you can take right now, so yeah, I guess that's it. We're gonna go for the wrist right here. We're gonna be taking Sword and Board because it's gonna give us fresh shield slams. Again, all the theme of this video is rage is a huge issue. Rage is a gigantic problem, and in turn we wanna get as many free things as possible. I mean, this rune was already good. Even in phase 3 I was using it. For the hands, we're gonna be taking Devastate. That's obvious, that's Thunder Armor with damage. How can you argue against that? For your waist, we're gonna be taking Focus Rage. For a cheaper ability, 3 rage cheaper, that's a big deal for us. For the legs, Consumed by Rage is already gone. As you can see right here, Consumed by Rage also lost all its damage. 0 damage. So the only reasonable ability we can use now is Furious Thunder. We got Thunderclap and that's fine. Thunderclap is a good ability, it's a nice filler. So I already was using it, but if you wanted to parse before in phase 3, you had to go for Consumed by Rage. But if you just want to go for normal being a tank, Thunderclap is fine. This rune is fine. I don't feel it as a huge loss, this one in particular. Flagellation, I do feel it. Every single one of these runes is good in its way, except Gladiator Stance, of course. We are not going to use Gladiator, but Rallying Cry is a good cooldown for defensives. Intervene is a good cooldown if you have threat issues. You throw it at the people that are pulling aggro, and you're going to take the next hit, and they are going to lose threat. That's a good ability, I use it a lot. People sleep on it. Regeneration has a place as an AoE threat ability. Believe it or not, if you go into a big pool of mobs and you pop this thing, you can do a very decent threat and you're spamming the free battle shouts, and Shockwave Warrior could become a decent AoE tank with this thing. But we're gonna go for Rallying Cry because that's the most common one, that's the one you're gonna be using the most. For the ring, you gotta take 2 runes, because you got 2 rings and there is only 2 options that make any sense for you, so it's stupid. You just take your weapon ability, so if you're a human, this sucks. If you're a human, this rune is useless. And you're also gonna take defense skill. Defense skill is not great for you. Defense skill is bad for you because you don't get crit. But at the same time, it is 4 attack power per point because they put it on the data mine that they are gonna do that. For defense, there is gonna be a little bit of scaling on it. So it is not nothing. It helps, I guess. It is very difficult to come up with anything different than this at the moment because everything else is so nerfed that you cannot take it anymore. Your stat priority, first of all, you're gonna get your hit cap. We're talking that 9%, 8% if you have the weapon skill actually, so that's gonna be 8% this tier because you have weapon skill no matter what. Then you wanna get as much crit or agility as possible because rage is gonna be a concern, but agility also gives you dodge and it also gives you armor, so agility is kinda nice. And after that you wanna get attack power. Attack power is good, attack power is gonna give you threat, of course, and strength is a little bit better than attack power because your shield slam is gonna scale with strength. So you're gonna get a little bit more value off of that. And of course you're gonna get some stamina. I don't have the values yet, but yeah, let's see on my PTR character, for example. This guy is Valor set and my HP is 4,325. Yeah, I would say if you got like 3,000 HP unbuffed, you're probably good to go. And no, I wouldn't take the tanking set. There is a new Valor set that has tanking stats on it. It's not worth it. Take Valor. Take Valor every time. Defense is actually bad for you. Your single target rotation is gonna be something I tried out many things in the PTR, and this is what I came up with being the most efficient for threat. First of all, if you get a free proc of Shield Slam, you're gonna do that one first. I put a Wikora on the Discord that's gonna tell you when you get a proc. It's SoD UI channel in the Discord. Next is gonna be revenge. Whenever you can do revenge, you're gonna do it because it's basically free. I also got a weak aura for revenge in the Discord. After that, we're gonna do Thunder Armor, and as far as I could test, there is no rage modifier for Shockwave. There should be one because Cataclysm Classic had a threat modifier in Shockwave, so this is just a conditional. If they change it, you might use it, but right now I just don't see a reason to use it in single target, sadly. And of course, if you wanna dump rage, you're gonna do it with Heroic Strike. And if your Heroic Strike is not dumping enough rage, you can even do a normal Shield Slam on top of that. That's the very last thing you can do. Shield Slam, when it is not free, is usually not worth it, but if you got extra rage, you might as well dump it. I sure do hope that the PTR they put a threat modifier on Shockwave. It would suck that we get a really cool rune and we cannot use it because the threat sucks. It's not worth it. On 1x threat modifier, Shockwave is not worth it for single target. Of course, I forgot to tell you, but you should know this by now. Demoralizing Shout and Thunderclap, you gotta keep that up on the boss at all times. You gotta take the Thunderclap rune anyway, so you might as well. It is decent threat. Now your AoE rotation, believe it or not, it got a huge buff. You get Shockwave, that's an AoE, a true AoE, you can hit a bunch of targets with it, as many as you want. Shockwave is amazing, it's an AoE stun too, so it helps with you taking less damage. So we're gonna be using Shockwave on cooldown, and we're also gonna be doing Thunderclap, and we're gonna be cleaving. And then we're gonna fill with Battle Shout. Remember, with the improved Battle Shout talent, we can spam Battle Shout indefinitely, no rage cost whatsoever. All these things combined, especially if your raid leader is smart and he puts you in a group with like a Hunter or a Warlock, a pet class, so your Battle Shout is gonna generate more threat, they should be a pretty decent tank. Especially considering Vigilance, if you put that on an AoE DPS, like you're taking control of a lot of threat. Thanks to Vigilance, you're gonna scale as good as whoever is the best DPS in the game is gonna scale, so I don't think threat is gonna be a constraint, and tankiness got a little better like this. Yeah, I forgot. Shield Wall is a 5-minute cooldown now. Yeah, so you got 5 minutes, every 5 minutes you got Shield Wall, so Shield Wall is gonna be really strong. So yeah, the tankiness, which was the main constraint of the Warrior in Phase 3, because threat was fine. Okay, people complained, threat of the Warrior in Phase 3 was perfectly fine, Vigilance is broken, I told you. It was the tankiness that was falling behind, and now with these changes, the tankiness is gonna be really good because Shield Wall is amazing, so I am not concerned anymore. Remember that you wanna keep Shield Block up on you at all times because that's your only protection against crit. You wanna get crit every so often. If you can get crit in a fight intentionally, you wanna do that, of course. If you are not gonna die doing it, that's what I mean, because you get 25% more damage, but if you don't wanna get crit, if you are fighting a boss that does a lot of damage, Shield Block, keep it up all the time, and you're not gonna get crit ever. That is also one of the reasons that defense is so bad for you, because why would you take defense if you are already crit immune, technically? Conceptually, despite how sad I am for the other warriors, I think Prot Warrior is just fine. I think we're gonna be just fine. Subscribe, leave a like, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.